Alright, so after the cranking time was over, you think Insomniac thought that it was over also for Ratchet and Clank, but suddenly was like, guys, aside from the fact that, you left the story kinda on a cliffhanger, not cliffhanger, but underwhelming, you need to continue, so here we are. Let's check the intro first.
Joining us via satellite are Ratchet and Clank.
Also, we start with immediately with a problem, the proportion. I don't mind Ratchet's new look, which is less fuzzy and a bit more chubby on the cheeks, but why is Clank near tall as him?
Doctor Nefarious to alive and at large.
I think part of that is just that they made Clank bulkier, as in like
it's also for the purpose of the gameplay,
so
you'll see.
Playing hollow games till 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
but yeah, similar to what was mentioned in the comic, Ratchet and Clank wants to retire from the hero-saving business. We've already seen this song and dance like 2 times at least.
Not for nothing, also, but last I checked, Crack in Time established that these guys were on for more adventures, and we literally open now with them wanting to retire.
Let's check in with President Qwark.
Like, if that were the case, wouldn't Clank have just stayed at his job at the Clockwork Tower?
On to President Qwark. Hey, scratch photo.
President Qwark? She was taking a
yes.
Good morning.
Monica Lewinsky joke?
Yes, folks, your nightmares have been realized.
Very promising. Sir,
and the galaxy is doomed. He's in charge.
I mean, it was already in the comic, not to an extent, thanks to the Helios project.
Lawrence teleported Doctor Nefarious to safety prior to the destruction of his space station.
So yeah, I know what you're thinking. Wow, the opening is literally somehow Doctor Nefarious returned. I will have something to say about, because we know exactly the process of how it happened, but I'll mention during the gameplay. Hey, Drunken Zephyr.
Doctor Nefarious? No. See? The guy's a ghost.
See, they're part of the,
They will be more active.
Series?
They will be more active in this game too. Don't worry about that.
Danger. Everything is under control.
Yeah, about that.
Sit back and put your faith in myself and Vice President Scrunch.
Thank you, President Qwark. Coming up, 10 million ways your loofah sponge can kill you.
What?
Right after this.
What?
Good to know.
Anyway, welcome officially to All for One. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, this game looks a bit more pristine than I might remember if I played it. That's because since I completed the construction manual PC, I'm basically testing the RPCS3 emulator, and this was my first candidate for it. Mind you, even if I had recorded it on actual PS3 hardware, I also have a copy of the game in case you're wondering. Outside of the performance thing, this is strictly a co-op game, and obviously I think the servers are still active somehow, but nobody's playing anymore. So unfortunately you will have to get a fraction of the experience that the original had, but there's nothing I can do about it. I know that private servers are online for emulation, but still, there are not many people who give a shit, and I could not rally up, that many in time for this recording, so please be patient.
I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but there is no special fancy Japanese name for this game.
No, well, there were tentative names, but we'll mention that also during the gameplay. So you can play as Ratchet, Nefarious, Clank, and Qwark. Virtually they play all the same, it's just about the banter that you have. But unfortunately, I will have to mention you're kinda railroaded default to play as Ratchet and Clank. Kinda, sorta. I'll have to mention more as the game goes on. And each of your characters that you choose for your profile has a selective set of stats that you collect. So theoretically you have to play the game 4 times to unlock everything. Classic beat 'em up logic.
It gives me slight Mega Man X7 vibes, but I'm happy to report that this handles it way better than Mega Man X7.
At least this game is fun to play.
None of the characters are either annoying or sound like they're half asleep.
What I will also say is that the intro cutscene for this game gives me major Crash Team Racing or Crash Bash.
I will also say that I'm glad that they finally updated Qwark's model to have his suit actually look like that, instead of being his skin with a line of green that separates the two.
Who did you say invited you?
I don't know. The guy was all cloak and dagger on the phone, but I'm sure the whole thing's on the up and up. Look at him, peacefully slumbering in the warm embrace of cryosleep.
I don't know about this. Maybe we should call Kronk and Zephyr.
Oh, Ratchet, so young, so unused to the spoils of do-goodery. Don't worry, when you're a hero, you'll understand. House lights?
Hello, Mr. President! So kind of you to accept my invitation.
Doctor Nefarious. I was wondering when you'd be showing up. Is that your new space station? Looks a little smaller than the last one.
Oh, you're hysterical. Let's see you crack jokes from inside the digestive tract of a suckaroon!
I'm only over here, sir.
Poor Lawrence.
Well, he rescued Nefarious, so he chose this lifestyle.
You pay attention, the crew tends to be attracted to light sources, so oops, that was the nearest one.
Hey,
I
gotta
mean,
provide
at least the Ferengi sounds like he's having fun.
Well, looks like
And Lawrence quits. Don't worry, we'll see him again, thankfully, but that's a justification why the Nefarious is supposed to work with the rest of the people here.
That's it,
So
you
the
gotta
butler
love...
just up and quit.
You know, you gotta love the context of this. Lawrence has been with Nefarious through thick and thin in situations that are definitely more dangerous than this, but nah, I guess this was just it.
Alright,
Again, like
so
Gio said,
a couple of things to mention. First of all, as you're about to see after this in-game cutscene, as you can see, the style is actually fairly different. Now you have a fixed camera that follows you around, and the playstyle has been accommodated to work for all four characters. So each of them do have a double jump. You don't have a glide anymore. You don't have a dash, but you have a speed up button, potentially. And you also have options for, calling your teammate or reaching them from afar, in case you get stuck and you don't want the camera to go into Super Mario 3D World, mode, unfortunately. There you go.
boy, wouldn't it have been funny if when you choose to play as Clank, they came up with a reason for Ratchet to be the one who shrinks and stays?
Actually, no, it's not Ratchet who does that. It's Qwark. No, I don't know why. They basically justified that. Anyway, just to mention, unfortunately, if you pick only one player and you pick anyone outside of Clank, Clank will be your companion. So while there is different banters, unfortunately, it's still very railroaded. I was pondering just how much I was going to show in an extra format for, different kind of stuff, but really the game is really limiting my options, and I'm already playing a version of the game that is not really what it was supposed to be originally, so I'll just, be content to show as much as I can, and that's it.
I'd have helped you if I had the emulator, but I never got around to trying RCPS for
No, not to mention, this game is not among the most stable. It did crash frequently, and you're just not seeing it.
Honestly, it doesn't even look very, well, sorry, okay. Now it's starting to look somewhat destructive, but it doesn't look like there's a huge mass panic about.
Also, Rusty Pete opened up an hamburger shack. What?
Okay, Dwibs, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. All for One isn't exactly the most beloved game in the series.
Well, it's a bit complicated, but we have all the time in the world to actually get there, because the stages are relatively lengthy, and outside of the occasional banter, there's not a lot going on outside of very unique set pieces. I will say this, Insomniac actually took to heart the whole idea of making a co-op game in trying to make each stage relatively unique as possible while maintaining the core gameplay of the franchise in shoot everything until it explodes under your skin.
in regards to, I guess, why Qwark is the one who shrinks down occasionally, maybe that was Insomniac paying homage to Size Matters, which ends with Qwark shrunk down.
Well, no, it kinda goes into a backpack transformation similar to Samus Aran's, ball mode. But anyway...
Because he can do that, got it.
Yeah, basically, just to have justification. I kind of wish, Nefarious would have been able to do that in a twisted parody, that, but whatever. Anyway, so let's start with the title. Insomniac had a couple of titles proposed for this. One of them was Foursome, another one was Multiple Organisms, and another one was Foreplay. Sony at this point told to them, knock it the hell off because we cannot actually market this thing. I get the double entendre and everything, but still. So, reluctantly, Insomniac to just, call it All for One. Although the Foreplay is still present as the title of the Platinum Trophy. So there is that.
Beautiful. Honestly, what does it say that, when they got away with a title like Up Your Arsenal, that these ones were getting way too on the nose?
Not to mention, this one was definitely, translated fully for my country, so there is that. Also to mention, your AI partner tends to be a bit wacky sometimes when it comes to be receptive activating switches, but, it is not... it was clearly done before the time of stuff like Joseph Ferris games, and it was for the PS3, so you have to be patient about that.
It's headed for the airway. Come on, we gotta catch up.
Okay, so here's how, somehow Doctor Nefarious returned. Originally, Insomniac did not want it to just be done with Ratchet Clank because they believed the story was finished with Crack in Time, regardless of what we think about that. Sony told them, no, the game sold, enough to make a profit, so please do a next game. They were like, okay. Then Sony was like, oh, by the way, it needs to be a co-op experience because Left 4 Dead is really popular these days, so we want to do something, akin to that, but for the whole family, for Ratchet and Clank. They're like, okay, we're gonna make it Ratchet and Clank co-oping again, in a different environment. Then Sony was like, oh, and by the way, it needs to be a 4-player co-op, and besides Ratchet and Clank, the other 2 players have to be, Captain Qwark and Doctor Nefarious. At that point, I think DJ Kingston himself told, actually, we kinda blew him up in the last game, and they were like, for the narrative you can just, invent an excuse to have him come back. And so it was technically retconned that Lawrence had rescued him before the space station blew up, even though, as we see in the cutscene, Lawrence tucks tail right as, Nefarious explodes. Although it's worth noting that during the credits we talked over it. One of the narration from the credits is a news report that talks about the destruction of the space station, but mentions that the body was never found. So
there always was technically
a
that
kind of opening, but it still visually feels like something that it was clearly not intended that way.
The whole city's on fire.
Personally, I would have made Tolwyn the 4th player, but now I know that it wasn't because of Insomnia, but it was an actual, editorial mandate from Sony. Oh, what can you do? Like, I get also the idea of having the thrill of having a villain playable, but unfortunately, this came at a couple of, costs.
Yeah, like I mentioned at the start that intro cutscene feels like a Crash Team Racing or Crash Bash intro cutscene. And I think that's for good reason, since, yeah, this, as you can tell, dear viewer, is definitely multiplayer focused, essentially, which you can tell even in the level design, or putting in, for some godforsaken reason, a futuristic taxi that requires people to stand on different sides to steer it.
Again, if you play...
This feels more like a Lego... This feels more like a Traveller's Tales era Lego game.
Yeah, that too. But if you also play Joseph Ferris games, like, It Takes Two, Way Out, and more recently Split Fiction, you know exactly the kind of set pieces we're creating, just maybe not as wacky, but still relatively unique, that force you to have some level of co-op. Into it, which honestly I kinda digged it, call it Stockholm Syndrome if you want, but I arrived at the end of the game saying that, well, I kinda wish there was a bit more, not for this game, but a couple more other experimental game with other stuff, like say Jack and Daxter, or another Sony IP or a crossover potentially. A bit similar to maybe the idea this was what PlayStation Move Heroes could have been potentially.
Friendship through Firepower initiative.
And again, call it Stockholm Syndrome, or maybe, the fact that these days the franchise is very, starving to get new games. But I kind of wish we got something like this, after Rift Apart, and before whatever game they're doing next for the series.
I will say, maybe by the end of this playthrough, we'll come out with a positive outlook. Like, again, it wouldn't be the first time we've liked something that
Besides, Jova, trust me, I get the idea. You will also agree eventually when we get there that the next game, Full Frontal Assault / Q-Force, is actually technically worse, even if it's still functional, quote-unquote. You'll be able to see.
Basically, from my recollection, the games in between Crack in Time and Rift Apart do tend to have very, varying degrees of reception among the fan base, from fine to, oh my god, kill it with fire. Possibly an overreaction in some cases, but again, I guess
the biggest that X symbol on the chest look familiar. No, the biggest thing that you need to take is not for this game, but for the next two, Full Frontal Assault / Q-Force and Into the Nexus, is that unfortunately Insomniac and Sony tried to experiment with the idea of more budgeted titles, but as a result were very short. And it really shows. Into the Nexus,
part of the problem.
Q-Force / Full Frontal Assault also has the very familiar problem, if you're a Sonic fan, of, say with me, a game rushed for release to meet up for the franchise anniversary.
I think the thing that hurt those immensely was that they were coming off of Crack in Time. Now, whether you like or don't like Crack in Time, you can't deny that the budget was definitely there to showcase what a big game it was supposed to be. And of course, they were planning it to be the end, so of course it would be big. The thing is, though, when you're following up a game that epic and scary and whatnot...
I need to also see this. See, one unfortunate problem with emulating this is that for all these Insomniac games, not just Ratchet Clank but also Resistance, the water texture of the engine that they use tends to not work as intended, so you have to excuse me, and be able to endure this kind of pixelated muck that is under me. It will be more prevalent towards one specific stage, unfortunately.
It's okay, we can pretend that it's electrified slime down there.
Yes.
Also, that box just rolled off with a mind of its own.
Because it's in-game and the camera zoomed in. Anyway, the gimmick that they showcase also, it's unique to this. Concentrating your shots, again, focusing co-op instead of just shooting on your own, produces an explosion after a ring is completely full that helps defeating enemies quicker. So, it incentivizes teamwork for the sake of, speeding things up with the killing. Again, I like that. I get the idea that if I had the time and the money, I probably would have enjoyed to play this game back in the day. I don't remember how many players it has, but definitely during its initial runtime. The problem is that you're seeing a visually and performance, enhanced version of the game, because the original is very, not blurry, but, a bit more pixelated because of resolution, and runs at 30 FPS when you're lucky. A lot of times it dips on the 20 and potentially sometimes the 15. So
the pros and cons of emulating it, basically. You get much better picture and resolution. Sadly, some effects don't work as well as they would on a console.
And occasionally the game can freeze. Again, thanks to the editing, you will not be able to see that, if I recall correctly. Also, there might be potentially, so as told in previous games, this is a return of the bolt grabber, box, so you know exactly what it can do. The only major thing that it does is also to allow you to break the boxes in contact. But anyway, enhancing the performance can potentially have some unexpected effects, as we mentioned in the past. Not all the time, but maybe occasionally an enemy or two might have their script broken, and as a result have to temporarily lower the frame rate in order for the script to resume as intended, or play that segment in that specific frame rate. It's nothing too game-breaking, if I had to be honest, but can potentially happen sometimes. And it's basically there to show you that these games probably, would be better to have to get a remaster, or a PC port at the very least anytime soon. Especially these days, there is honestly, more than anything, co-op mania, and, people really are demanding for Sony to actually have a game, other than Astrobot, that can stick around. And honestly, this will fit with the whole multiplayer craze. Re-releasing this probably would be one of the smartest moves to have, if you ask me.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and, regardless of what I'll think by the end of this game, I'd hazard a guess that this game might have gotten overall better reception from the fan base if, A, it had been pushed more as, like, a spin-off rather than, like, the next mainline game, or B, if the timing of this release had been a bit different, like...
Yeah.
It's like you posited, like, nowadays, I bet you fans would have welcomed this, especially in between the long wait between Rift Apart and its sequel.
But back in the day, they started to have an annual release with these titles, and as a result, people thought the franchise was suffering from sequelitis, unfortunately.
And one thing I can't blame the fan base for is, like, from what I recall of this game, it is a departure from your typical Ratchet and Clank gameplay and whatnot. And whenever you have a new installment that drastically tries to change up the formula of the gameplay, you can expect some pushback, warranted or otherwise. Case in point, Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant, which were insanely major departures from how Crash goes. Like, just to put into perspective...
But you were going to say mentions against Sonic games.
Tio, I have an MO outside of just Sonic. I like to mix it up every now and then. But yeah, Crash... Just to put into perspective how different Crash of the Titans is, you have limited ability to use spinning. In fact, you don't even have spinning... In fact, you don't even have spinning off the bat. That's an ability you have to unlock.
That's like making a game with Spyro and preventing him for gliding, after a certain point, and even then not being wave worthy. Oh wait!
Jesus Christ. Like, and now I'm gonna give Insomniac credit though. It really feels like the mystery to this one is easy to solve. Executive mandate.
Yes. Well, like I said, despite also these, I still ended up having fun playing these, and the story is not even too bad, if you ask me.
Again, I'm gonna chalk up a lot of the negative reception the fan base gives it to just the timing and how it felt like this was going to replace what Ratchet and Clank gameplay was, since this was pretty much presented as the new main installment.
It's basically not to the same extent, but kind of similar to Metroid Federation Force, although in that case it was more like the first game in a while after the fans were starving, while instead in this case it was, the game immediately after the one.
Yeah. So at least they didn't have to stew for as long. God, it took... Okay, mind you, I guess Samus Returns wasn't too long after Federation Force, but that was at least 2 years from what I recall.
Alright, so now we're properly fighting the Groot, as it's called. The beast that Nefarious brought here via trickery.
What year did this game come out?
2010 or 11, I forgot the specific one. I think if it's 2011, it came around the same year as Resistance 3 to boot, so the Insomniac was also very busy in general.
Yeah, so this is definitely before Guardians of the Galaxy, so Groot jokes won't exactly apply here.
No, again, they're trying to do the whole Flash Gordon parody, as, that they usually tend to stick with.
But yeah, like I was saying earlier, it seems like for this game, they while they do have pre-rendered cutscenes, it looks like these cutscenes are using basically the in-game model engine as opposed to, you know, CGI cutscenes that previous games would have. Whether that's a cause of, like, due to the budget of this game or them trying to do something different, I can't say for sure.
I can tell you that Full Frontal Assault Rescue Force does the same, while Into the Nexus does have a couple of CG cutscenes. So it might be chalked up to, you know, budget reason. Well, I can tell you that compared to those two, this one definitely had more budget. So
yeah, I'm guessing mainly the budget problems will be probably for future ones.
The next two games, yes.
And yet, one thing we can also agree on is that they're still all better than what would come after. Oh, still kicking, are you, dude?
I didn't mention it, I also love the particular banter that these two radio newscasters have.
I dig that.
It's like watching some elderly cat lady on Black Friday as she claws her way mercilessly toward the last pair of
good to see that even in the future, Black Friday will be a thing.
Not to mention, apparently, Ratchet's invention that was mentioned in Tools of Destruction still pays off. How much bolts do you get? Also, there you go. Here's the payoff for having Zogg as the villain in the comic. The fact that he built a defense tower that's being used to defeat the Zagroot in the first level in this game. Please clap.
While that comic is certainly wild, I guess I'll give him credit to committing to the continuity thing. The only problem was if you had trouble getting the comics.
Well, again, in this case, if you knew nothing about the comic, it would be just like, oh, it's a thing in universe, you know, like a corporation that they have. So.
No, like, I mean, I'll give the comic credit. It
okay, also, here's a problem. From now on, every time a new weapon is introduced in the shop, Kronk and Zephyr will actually be the one telling you. The thing is that, plot-wise, it kinda makes no sense that we'll be doing it now, because after a certain specific point in the next level, they will be telling you why we're doing this. So this is the game jumping the gun a bit.
Yeah, it's like, guys, if you don't want to explain it yet, don't put in the option for it. It's like with the, it's like with the Castlevania Lord of Shadows games that was on the handheld one, which gives you info in the guide eons before you're supposed to get certain plot twists.
Anyway, new weapon type, also scrolling a bit to get to see what will be the ones that we have. This one, the Plasma Bomber, is a grenade launcher that functions in an arc. It's not my favorite weapon, but it's cool for crowd control for smaller enemies. Again, all weapons can be, charged with that ring if you cross the streams, so, you know, it definitely adds an idea. And if you play single player, your partner, Clank, or Qwark in that case, will automatically have the same weapons as you and will manage to think for themselves, so don't worry about them. But if you're playing in actual co-op, here's the thing, since this incentivizes cooperation but also a bit of competition, each player gets to have their own reserve of bolts, and they need to decide which specific purchase they do at the shop. You know, and as you will see later, at the end of the level, each player gets rated in how many enemies they killed, bolt collected, and other collectibles, and so on and so forth. So you need to be extremely, you know, if you want to have that extra bit of level of aggressive competition, you want to, you know, collect the most bolt and kill as many enemies, but as a result, it might result in some players not being able to purchase a weapon as immediately as you. It really depends.
I am ready.
The group's taken a beating, but it's not ready to quit just yet. Let's hope it doesn't.
I love how defeated the group was. Come on, guys. Oh.
What's that, Harvey? Our station manager Harvey has just pointed out that a new.
Yeah, in hindsight for Nefarious, it was kinda bad releasing these beasts in a town that actually has a lot of electrical generation.
That's still Jim. Is that Jim Ward voicing Kip?
No, the two newscasters are voiced by different VAs, but I forgot which specific ones. Jim Ward gets to have a couple of other different roles in this, but you'll be able to see.
Yeah, we should probably go stop him.
You think?
Just leave him. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, with
I guess the city gets a new nightlight.
Can you use this time to check maybe on behind the voice actors on MDB who voices keep?
Kip Darling is voiced by Lloyd Sher.
He definitely sounded like he wanted to put an impression of Anka's area for, you know, for stuff like The Simpsons.
Well, he's the new voice of he voiced Fillmore in Cars 2 and 3 after George Carlin died.
Oh, okay.
Also, he's done voice acting work for some Scientology productions.
Yeesh.
Was he actually a Scientologist, or was it just a paycheck to him?
Well, most recently he was Doctor SCWRM in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh, the Doctor. Yeah, I know who he is. We'll get to him when we get to, you know, Rebirth. Anyway. The last section is, of course, a turret section, when you need to destroy these specific generators and then properly defeat the Groot. Definitely
most optimal when you have all 4 players, I can see.
Yeah, you can tell they're conveniently 4-player turrets. Well, I don't know if the difficulty gets adjusted for that.
Welcome to a level that looks like it will be a lot of fun with the Konami headsets.
Fuck. Shit ass.
God, you know, part of me wonders what the gaming landscape would be if we had...
Shay, on top, you need to deal the coup de grace God of War style.
Right into his mouth.
Well, no, the to blast the hands. Similar to there you go, to make him fall down. Oh, but I wanted just some light.
And the Zagroot is down for the count. Absolutely incredible. We'll be right back after this word.
That bot serves to basically serve your progress after a specific section of the stage, and it will be more common as the levels go on, because their basic function is their checkpoint. The only reason why I'm sticking to Ratchet is because, well, this game is called Ratchet and Clank, so...
Well, it's been a lot of fun catching up, but I got about it.
Not so fast, Nefarious. You've done some underhanded things in your time, but this beats all. I'm starting to think
yes, you've tried to take over the world, but reanimating a giant beast is the worst thing.
Your president.
Unfortunately, we have bigger problems at hand. The fucking Death Star has arrived.
Yeah, like I don't know who.
Oh, okay. Thank you for telling us. And
I just wanted to be sure that I'm actually not accused for that which I didn't do.
And we have the title now. What?
We
interesting time to show off the title. Where the title characters get kidnapped.
Weird.
Anyway, we will see what has happened to our 4 heroes, I guess. Next part. See ya.
Bye.